Unit 2 in geography deals with the physical aspects of geography, the physical elements, and specifically those aspects of earth, like dirt, like lava, like the ground you walk on. So one of the things that you need to realize is that the earth, this is a rough diagram of the of what the earth looks like. And for your test, it's going to ask you what the crust is made up of, and this is where the faults and the plates are. And then the mantle is your convection area. That's this yellow area. And the outer core is liquid, and the inner core is solid iron. Liquid iron, solid iron. What's happening in here is this is all lava. This is very hot, very volatile area, and it's all just mixing around and coming up in certain spots in the form of volcanoes. And also moving around plates, so we have earthquakes and that type of thing. There is a lot going on beneath the surface. No, we can't drill a hole all the way to China or go into the core like this movie I saw with Hilary Swank in it. Can't do it. Not going to happen. Too much pressure. Too much liquid lava. I guess if we devised some kind of ship that went through lava, maybe that's what happened in that movie. But yeah, this is where your faults and your plates. So if you write crust, faults and plates, mantle, this is convection. That's what I was talking about, the lava thing. Hot air rises, heat rises. This is heat rising. And then this is a liquid iron inner core. And a solid iron inner core. What's up? Yes, I will before we leave today, okay? Related civilizations. And the reason we're talking about this is that these kind of landforms, like these mountains right here, and this ocean coastline, this isolates people. And so something that can happen is that isolated people, they would have a unique language and cultural aspects. They would have things that maybe somebody on the other side of this mountain range does not have. So what you need to know is that an isolated place, isolated means unique. The next thing is talking about earthquakes and kind of that crust layer, that outer layer, and what's going on the surface of the earth. And here we have a coastline with young mountains. And these kind of areas are earthquake zones. These are your earthquake zones. This would be an area like California, like some other spots on the Pacific Rim. That would need to know is that an earthquake zone is this and this. Young mountains on a coast. So what's going on at these earthquake zones, these young mountains? This is what's going on. This is what is going on underneath the surface of the earth. You have an ocean plate, and this is exactly what's going on in California. You have that Pacific Ocean plate pushing underneath the continental plate. So this is a subduction zone. And subduction zones are the same thing as what we just talked about, an earthquake zone. Okay? Alright, next, the Pacific Rim. This is a picture of the Pacific Rim. You can see California here. You can see Alaska going down, around, Japan, Australia, up to South America. It's just, remember the globe this is huge. This is thousands and thousands of miles, but this is the Pacific Rim. 90% of the world's earthquakes happen in this area. 90% of earthquakes. If I were writing notes, that's what I would write. 90% of the world's earthquakes. Japan had that big earthquake. Japan is on the Pacific Rim.
You mean the Ring of Fire?
Ring of Fire, Pacific Rim, very much related.
Oh, so does it run through the same thing though?
Yeah, you did it. You drew it. Good. Neglected to put on your notes, but one thing you need to realize is that precipitation is moisture falling, evaporation, salt left behind, gravity is rivers. I'm going to get to today. It's almost time to go. Yeah, take a look at the water cycle. Remember these 4 things for your test. Uneven heating contributes to ocean currents. Gravity causes rivers. All water runs downhill, folks. Maybe sometime, next time you look at a river, think about the direction that water is flowing is downhill. It might not look like it, but it is going down. It is going to a lower elevation. Always. No rivers flow uphill unless they're man-made. Evaporation, so that's the salt left behind. Precipitation, some of this stuff you probably learned a long time ago. Putting those things together. And this here is weathering, turning rocks into soil since, well, ever. Since forever. This has always been going on. Since before there were humans, since before there were dinosaurs, this process has been weathering the earth. This is millions of years old, folks. Here, this is a good example of weathering, pretty blatant weathering right here. This sand washing away, getting blown away off these areas. Weathering. Last one. Irrigation. Before we realized how to water making crops grow, irrigation let farms and civilization develop farther from rivers and water sources. This is irrigation, everybody. If you don't know what that word means, this is what it is. Pumping water from some other source to get water to crops. And during the Neolithic revolutions, civilizations developed around rivers. Right, Juan? The Neolithic revolution? Like, yeah, sure, Mr. K. And that just makes sense. I mean, allowing civilization to develop further from rivers with irrigation